In a world where everything is upside down and backwards, one must ask if malevolent extraterrestrials are controlling this planet. Our water, air, and food supplies are all being poisoned, yet too many people are oblivious to this and are more content watching television than actually researching any of these issues. Even worse, most people are content being economic slaves to a broken system of fiat currency and have no idea about who they are and what their true, divine purpose for being here is. I'm not judging, just observing. In a world where everything is upside down and backwards, I'd rather choose to question everything instead of being blindly led to the slaughterhouse by the controllers who put us in this position. Our planet has only been in total peace for only 8% of our recorded history. This point alone raises many questions. Why are we in perpetual wars with one another when ultimately, our souls desire love and peace? Look at all of the deaths incurred through the Spanish Inquisition and the Crusades. Why do all religions need to kill for peace? Why were heretics burned at the stake when the Bible says to love thy neighbor? Why did indigenous tribes sacrifice their own people to the gods? What loving God would want us to kill for him? Virtually everyone is tired of being in perpetual wars and crave peace, yet those who are being sent to war never question the authorities who send them there. This would fall in line as the being the same difference of being a heretic in the days of witch burning. Who's really at the top of the pyramid? We've all seen the all-seeing eye at the top of the pyramid on the US $1 bill. While there are many interpretations of who this is it possible that the person at the top of this pyramid isn't even from this planet and relies on us killing one another to survive on sacrificial energies? Many people blindly believe that their country's respective leaders hold the ultimate power, but fail to realize that these leaders are answering to higher powers. For example, in the United States, President Jimmy Carter wanted to see the UFO files and was not allowed to do so by the head of the CIA, George H.W. Bush. So if the head of the CIA is above the president, then who is running the United States? While many people believe that secret societies, such as the Freemasons or the Bilderbergers, control how events are being played out on the planet, these people are still being controlled by higher powers. Some would say that the Pope is the most powerful person on the planet, but even he is being controlled and overshadowed by the Black Pope, who remains unseen and hidden from the general public. If the Pope was the most powerful person on the planet, then why is there starvation and homelessness when he has the ability to end all of this by being the wealthiest entity on the planet? The following is a quote from the Bible, Matthew 19:21. 21 Jesus answered, "If you want to be perfect, go, sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me." The Roman Catholic Church is wealthy enough to feed, clothe, and shelter every person on this planet, so why doesn't the Pope rely on the same words in the Bible that he expects everyone else to abide to? More importantly, why does the Roman Catholic Church have so much gold? The Anunnaki connection. The Sumerian texts are one of the oldest texts known to mankind and predate anything written in the Bible or any other religious texts. According to the Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki traveled to this planet in search of gold to use as a microdust to protect their own planet of origin's atmosphere from radiation. At first, the Anunnaki mined their own gold but realized this was too much work, so they genetically manipulated the genes of the Earth species, eventually create the Ottoman race, or what we know today as mankind. This explains why we only have 46 chromosomes, with 2 of them being fused together while all other Earth primates have 48. This also explains why there is such a need and demand for gold in every society. More than 350 artifacts were found in Ecuador in an old tunnel system used for mining gold. One particular artifact shows the same $1 bill pyramid with an all-seeing eye at the top of it. Under a black light, the eye takes on an interesting hue, while on the bottom of this artifact, you can see a star map of Orion's belt along with writing that is older than any known writing on this planet. According to the research of Klaus Dona, the same writing has been found all over the world, proving that there was a pre-existing global civilization that is much older than any Sanskrit writings. Because this artifact shows a map of Orion's belt on the bottom of it, then what is the significance of it? Is it possible that our overlord, came from Orion's belt? Or, perhaps, are these Orion entities lower-level overlords for the Anunnaki? Archons. Even older Gnostic texts talk about the Archons, who are non-physical entities who feed off of negative energy such as fear. This explains why you'll never feel good after watching the nightly news or reading the headlines of any given newspaper. Many people believe that the picture below is the pyramid of control. What is not being shown are the extraterrestrials who are above them. In ascending order, you'll find lower-level malevolent extraterrestrials such as reptilians, higher-level malevolent extraterrestrials such as the Anunnaki, Archons. This is a more realistic pyramid of control. Is it possible that the Archons are controlling the Anunnaki and are ultimately represented at the top of the pyramid? In this writer's opinion, most definitely. And it's quite possible that there's a Wizard of Oz type character controlling, and programming, them as well. What if? What if the Pope, or whatever Earth-born entity is above him, is being threatened to keep us in subservience, control, and conformity while living in perpetual fear in order to appease his extraterrestrial overlords through sacrifices, such as every world war, 9/11s, etc. If you look at the various blood types and RH values, then you'd realize that it's impossible to have so many races and ethnicities on this planet coming from Adam and Eve. Adam is short for the Adama race who the Anunnaki created, so is it possible that all races were created as subspecies experiments? At the bottom of the pyramid, you'll find most of us. What would happen if we no longer conformed to our own overlords? World peace. At the highest levels of Freemasonry, you'll find the motto, Ordo ab Chao, which means order out of chaos. This is why the divide and conquer premise is constantly being used against us, many times without us even seeing it, even when it's right before our eyes. For example, divide and conquer is the premise behind every sporting event, yet we buy into it without questioning why. We see team names such as the New York Giants, San Francisco Giants, or Tokyo Giants and never question the origin of these team names. Is it possible that they ultimately represent the Anunnaki or some other extraterrestrial race of controlling beings? Television programs such as Survivor or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire rely on the same premise. Ultimately, the end goal is fame, ego, and money, materialism, which we have bought into as a global society and cannot fathom what we would do if there was no such thing as money. Additionally, these shows pit us against one another through the divide and conquer principles. I've often said, once the bottom of the pyramid unites, all of us, the rest will collapse. This is why it's so important for all of us on the bottom of the pyramid to come together and unite, and why we need to appreciate any race that is different from our own instead of ignoring or avoiding one another. More importantly, we cannot buy into the race wars that our overlords are pushing upon us. As long as they keep us divided as people, we will never unite as one. In the end, the only ones who are truly preventing this from happening is ourselves. The good news is that we are all awakening to these truths and are starting to come together as one. This is why there seems to be such a push to keep us living in even more fear lately, as our overlords are panicking over how their plans have been aborted or delayed, such as the North American Union and the New World Order. Astrological timetables. Astrology is an important tool in this equation. In alchemy, there is a saying, as above, so below. In other words, what is happening in the celestials is being reflected to our planet and in turn, to each individual. Astrology relies on the cycles of time that repeat over and over again. When new cycles begin, we can learn from the last time we saw these celestial energies. For example, the last time Pluto entered Capricorn was in the 1700s during both the French and American revolutions. Pluto is known as the destroyer and will tear down everything that is not in humanity's best interests. In 2008, Pluto entered Capricorn again and stays there until 2023. Right on schedule, we saw a collapse of the banking system in the United States, with the exception of the too big to fail/jail banks. Right on schedule, we also have seen a number of revolutions all around the world. These are not coincidences. Our extraterrestrial overlords are very well versed in astrology and use this as their timetable as well. It appears that our Earth-born overlords are way behind schedule and are being pressured by their extraterrestrial overlords for either more sacrifices and/or a one world/new world order. As more and more people awaken and see how we've been controlled and manipulated for millennia, the less we will tolerate being manipulated by our Earth-born and extraterrestrial overlords. Pluto in Capricorn is our opportunity to create what is in humanity's best interests. Our overlords know this and will try everything within their own perceived powers to prevent this from happening, but it all starts with the bottom of the pyramid uniting as one, as well as each individual doing his and her own inner work to resolve any issues that keep repeating within his or her own lives. Lifting the veil. Many people are oblivious to what is happening before their very own eyes, but soon, it will become blatantly apparent as the veil lifts and more people awaken every day. It's obvious that whoever is in control of this planet is using us for slavery and for sacrificial reasons through perpetual wars with one another. The one thing they fear the most is the bottom of the pyramid uniting, because in numbers, we have power. Without us, they don't exist.